Now we're going to start with the benefit to the rich, and anybody that's been paying attention will say that they're not going to get any benefit. Let's just see what they say. Let's start with an attempt to understand just who the rich are. It is like the concept of just what the last ice age actually was. The scientists have no idea as to the magnitude of the event. To this day, they are looking for an impact site of a comet place hit somewhere around Michigan. Those who have followed the scientific news know that there was an impact by a comet back at the beginning of the ice age or somewhere in that time, and the things that they're looking for, the pieces and parts they're finding, but they don't find the impact site. So uh, that as I said, was the time the finds for all these products was dated around the last ice age. The problem, the scientists cannot find the impact site of the comet around Michigan. This is where the magnitude of the event is so huge that everyone is lost in the little details. What do they mean? They always say to me, the thing that you see is the scientists doing a detailed examination of the glass and every little speck on the glass and take it off and put it on and scratches and so on and so forth. But they never look through. They never look through the glass. It's a window. Hello. But the event is so huge that everybody's lost in the little details. What they said is that it'll be realized at some time, and it's one of the things that John has been very quietly realizing and not being able to say anything because everybody looks at him like Atlantis. The actual impact site is Michigan, and that will come out at some point in time. So the same is true of the magnitude of the theft of the overchargers and what they've pulled off. It is so enormous that it becomes inconceivable. We've been trying to give you an idea how inconceivable it is, but it is just not anywhere near what you consider to be true. How can we get the truth across to you with such an effort by the entertainment news media to cover it up? We know the conspiracy theories and all this misdirection of the media, and you have seen it night after night after night. And when somebody tells you that it's misdirection and it's lies, you start to say, okay. Number one, we've been paying. Now they want you to get an idea of how big the problem really is, how the magnitude of the real problem. They say we've been paying $400,000 a year to our president of the United States for his difficult duties. Any individual doing anything worth more than the president of the United States, is that a question? Yeah. Is there? Is there anybody that's doing anything more important than running this country? $400,000 what the president's given. So it's not an unreasonable amount of money. A recent report by the Oxfam International highlights the dramatic rise in income equality by noting that the combined wealth of the world's top 8 individual billionaires, and I don't know why they stopped there, is more than the lower half of the world's population combined. Some 3.6 billion people make the same amount of money as the top 8 individual billionaires make. And listed below are 8 of the billionaires along with their estimate of wealth. Now you will, and this is just something that the Oxford International News report gave, and it doesn't count believe me, it is not the top people. It's only billionaires. But it's the top 8 billionaires. Bill Gates, $75 billion. You can see him. I'm not going to name him because I'm not good with words. 67 billion for AMANCIOORTEGA. Warren Buffett, 60 billion, 60.8. Carlos Hugh, 50 billion. Jeff Bezos, 45 billion, and on it goes, 43 and 40. That's just 8 of the billionaires, and the news article from Oxfam International says that an economy for the 99% shows that the gap between the rich and the poor is far greater than they were afraid it was. When they started doing the research, they thought, oh yeah, well, we're doing all of this. Well, you've got two videos that tell you, but maybe some of you don't do well with videos. I don't know. Anyway, they want to go on. It details how big business and the super rich are fueling the inequity crisis by dodging taxes, driving down wages, and using the power to influence politics, and all of those things make them money. It calls for a fundamental change in the way we manage our economics so that they work for all people, not just for the fortunate few. Everything in economics will work for everybody, not just for the fortunate few. Number 4, that indicates that some people are beginning to see the magnitude of the problem, and that the others have been pointing out, but they cannot be heard because of the entertainment news media's stranglehold on the truth, or the news, if you will. Is it just the rich that are the problem? No. Rick, Wilking, from Reuters. This is a copyright thing that he did. The world's top 10 corporations, including Apple, Shell, and Walmart, have a combined revenue that is greater than the combined income of the 180 poorest countries in the world. They have a higher income than 180 of the poorest countries in the world, and they're sovereign states. The figure, which reveals that Walmart, Apple, and Shell alone are now richer than Russia, Belgium, and Sweden. When you begin to see, they're trying to get you to see how horribly inequitable it is. Walmart, Apple, and Shell alone are now richer than Russia, Belgium, and Sweden. Hello. 69 of the world's top 100 economic entities are now corporations instead of countries, raised from last year a staggering figure of 63. Out of the top 200 entities in the world, a whopping 153 were found to be corporations. So now you begin to see the inequities. Nick, D-E-A-R-D-E-N, director of the Global Justice Now, says the drive for short-term profits today seems to trump the basic human needs for millions of people on the planet. These figures show that the problem is getting worse. The problem is getting worse. The problem is getting worse. We know that, and something needs to be done. Do you see the magnitude of the theft yet? To make it clear as possible, if the theft of your money is stopped, $400,000 a year per year maximum income, and the military is brought down to the border guarding instead of making wars, all the changes that we've suggested in this entire work can easily be paid for plus. You understand what they're saying? Do you understand what they're saying? The rich are thieving you or stealing from you enough money, and in the industrial military complex, because they're making wars instead of guarding the borders. Those two things that they're doing cost you. That's why you can't pay for what we're recommending here, and that's where you get the money. So all of a sudden, if you get to the point where you own your politicians, and they change those things, you've got enough money to pay for education, free. You got enough money to pay for your health, all of it. Not single payer, but paid, and any complaint that anybody has will be listened to because it's your government now, not some person that is paid by the bureaucrats or the corporations or the rich to make sure you don't get what you want. Those people are working for you now, and we can balance the budget, give our poor a guaranteed support package, give you back the right to raise your own child. You personally, mother or father, can raise your own child and get paid for it. Have work for anybody who wants it, have a real voice in your government, and so much more. So if what we are saying is true, and it is, then we all gain with the changes suggested, except the overcharger, who has to suffer a reduction of their theft down to a level that they can live on. 400,000 is enough for our president, but not the greedy rich. But it's going to be the interesting thing about all this is not that we should be furious that those people should be allowed to steal that kind of money from us, but that the Rothschilds and the Rockefeller dynasties are not even mentioned. And that's what we said. The thing that should make you furious, and not furious enough to start a civil war, but I mean, we're trying to make you furious enough to make the changes recommended here. And what they said was that you just saw 8 billionaires, and you saw the amount of money they had, and the Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and their dynasties weren't even mentioned. And they're way above those people. So, they're supposedly the only trillionaires in the world, yet they're missing from the Forbes list every single year. Do you now begin to see the enormity of the overcharger situation? If those 8 billionaires have that kind of wealth, what do you think that is going on with the trillionaires? They're so powerful that the nightly entertainment news can't even talk about them. They don't want to be focused on. Well, when the renewable power invention being manufactured by the new wealthy 400,000 people that are making that kind of income comes into being, the overchargers for the oil will come to a screeching halt. The health system is researched, and the overcharger area found the massive, the health system is researched, and the overcharging areas we're finding because the government researches the overcharging areas. You find that there's a massive theft going on there, and that comes to a screeching halt. The overchargers will move out of the country to gain back their income because they can only make 400,000 a year, but they can't work here. They can't make their money here and then slip out of the country and have it. They can't get the money out of the country. So all of a sudden they have to do the 400,000, or they got to go work in Germany or England or somewhere else. And this country's got a lot of money and a lot of people. The inability to buy our politicians anymore will make their cash useless in this country anyway. The need for imports is gone, so that other countries' money is useless here. The need for imports is gone. Now will we have imports? If somebody can make something cheaper because of the natural resources or some invention, sure. It will go through the government, and the other country's money is useless here, so they have to be paid in what we call slips, government equal slips, so that what you basically have is a balance of trade. So if you want to sell a car here and you're making thousands of dollars on it, go ahead. The only problem is that you don't get paid in cash, you get paid in slips, and that means that somebody has to buy what we have just to keep the balance. So all of a sudden you got 20 Harley Davidsons that you can buy for one car's profit. You understand what we're saying? Balance of trade. And on it goes until the overchargers have no place to use their stolen money and they stop making it. Then what do they get? Perhaps some counseling, however we doubt it. Perhaps some understanding, again we doubt it. For sure change, but perhaps only this. Now they're pointing at things that the overchargers are going to get, and what did they say? Counseling because they're mentally insane? We doubt it. Maybe some understanding? We doubt that too. But for sure change is what they're going to get. After all the changes the overchargers have to go through, perhaps the true good thing that will happen is the fact that once those who would choose to get out of here are gone, the gate closes, and the God wannabes can begin their process of leaving the earth and jumping into the universe, shadow universe, with no more interference. This is where they tell you they will get all their money and power back as promised in the covenant, and they can go on from there as if the People's Trust News pause which is 2,600 years, just didn't happen. The only thing that happened there was that the sheep, if you want to call them that, the people that don't like this and don't want to be gods got out, and there was no interference. Now they can have a horrible loss if they interfere, because they get, as they say, moleculed and spewed out into the void. Nobody wants that, because you never get back together again. And you have a suspicion that you're born again, but you don't know that that's true. But what if you knew for an absolute fact that you would never exist again? That's the option if you interfere. So they're trying to lay that out for you. What is the gain? We're talking about the gain here. The gain is that the God wannabes can get their money back, their power back, and go right on as if nothing happened, assuming they didn't get in the way. And the only thing different is that they're the sheep that Father wants back, because the sheep want back. They realize they don't want to be here. They come back, and they leave here. We do not want to help the God wannabes in any way, because we are terribly prejudiced. But this place was made for those who would choose the God wannabe path. That's what this is made for. At the end times, when the gates are closed and we are out of their way, they can get back to everything by all of a sudden opening up the gate on the other side and moving into the shadow universe. And one of the things they said was that you're going to move into the shadow universe probably in some kind of a machine, because the human can't go. So you'll have your consciousness in some kind of machine. Let me just give you a little cue there. You're in a robotic machine of some kind. You're not a human anymore. You don't have to stand on two legs. You can be on four. You have intellect, great intellect, and you're going to go out into the universe, and the radiation out there is not going to affect you. And it's great. And you go out into the shadow universe, and you run across some other entity that exists out there, who knows what. And you have to do battle with them, and you finally beat them, and you're a god. You own 2 planets, and it's great, and it's wonderful. That's what's waiting for you at the end of the 2,600 years if you don't get in the way. And that's one of the things that they want you to understand, and it's one of the things that makes it better for you. As the very rich, you get all these things beaten down on you for 2,600 years, but then you get it all back, except for the people that are, that you call sheep, that you want to control. But there will be plenty out there in the shadow universe that you can control. So, you won't be crying once you realize what's out there and what you can do for the rest of your life, because you're going to live forever, and forever is an awful, awful long time. But no boredom, no way. You'll be, you might own a galaxy, and if you own a galaxy, you might end up doing battle with another galaxy, and it might take you 40 lifetimes, or you might live that long. You might not have lifetimes anymore, so things could be looking up for you too, because kind of that's what you want. We're not going to help you, but we're not going to stop you either. I mean, this place was made for you. You get to play in the shadow universe for forever. Great. So now you've seen that part of it. So it's not necessarily bad for anybody that we've seen so far.